Hi YouTube, welcome to another edition of Horror Hands, and for this video I'm going to be going through all the Troma movies that I own. So I know that Troma are very much an acquired taste, and there's a real mixed bag in this collection of movies that I own. There's movies that I really enjoyed and had a lot of fun watching, and then there's some that I absolutely hated. And I will be honest about what I think about them, so I'll get straight to it. Unfortunately, we do start with a terrible movie, and that is Alien Blood. Really awful, very low budget, almost unwatchable. I really struggled to get through this one. Wasn't a good film at all. Don't ask me what it was about. It was like beyond shot on video. It was that bad. Really had a hard time getting through this one, so don't have anything good to say about that one. Next movie is Blood Oath. Now I showed this one off on my Blood Titles video, and I unfortunately I can't remember much about this one at all. I think I enjoyed it. I can't recall anything from the film, so I need to go back and rewatch this one. But I don't think I disliked it. It was just a while ago that I watched it. Next one is Blood of Ghastly Horror. Really great title, a very low budget film. Again, a bit of a struggle to get through because it was such a low budget film, and I struggled as well to kind of work out what was going on. I have a feeling this might have been one of those movies that was pieced together from several cancelled scripts and ideas and things like that. You do come across those movies occasionally, but yeah, really not one that I'd highly recommend. So not a great start, but one movie that I did really enjoy was Bugged. This is kind of like Troma doing Ghostbusters, but instead of ghosts, it's bugs and cockroaches. So this group of people, they set up their own exterminating company, and they're called to this house which has this really bad cockroach infestation, and in fact they are actually like mutant killer cockroach monsters. So it's very fun, doesn't take itself seriously, and there's lots of sort of rubber monster puppets and things like that going on in this. Some really bad, but I like it, practical effects. Lots of just weird creatures coming at the screen and things like that. It's obviously fake, but it has a charm to it. So I did enjoy Bugged. I like that one. Next one, one of Troma's more famous ones is Class of Nuke High. I enjoy these movies. I actually enjoy the sequels more than the first one, but I do have fun watching the first one. It's a pretty good film about this high school next to a nuclear power plant which infects people and causes zombies, and there's a really cool monster at the end. So yeah, this one is a fun Troma film. And then we have Class of Nuke High Part 2. This is the one, I think this is the one with the giant mutant squirrel at the end. Yeah, Troma, his name. So it's worth watching just to see him. That's pretty cool. And this one, I think this is the one that's 2 and 3 star Brick Bronski, who was like this unassuming guy that just happened to be amidst all the craziness, and he was quite fun to watch. He made the sequels pretty good. So that's Part 2. And then we have Part 3. I struggled to decipher what happens in which of these movies, but I know I did enjoy all of them, particularly Parts 2 and 3. So that's the Class of Nuke High movies. The next movie is Dark Nature. Now this one was a bit of a hidden gem. I'd never come across this film before I picked up at a horror con. And this is a film, it's filmed in Scotland, and it's this family, they go to this sort of family beach house, and there's a killer on the loose, killing people off. So it's a bit like a slasher drama type film, quite low budget, but very well done. It's a serious film, and it's played straight, which is quite unusual for Troma. They don't release many of these kind of films, but I really like this one. I think this is quite an underrated and overlooked film. So that's Dark Nature. Next movie is Drawing Blood. This is a vampire film. I didn't particularly enjoy this one. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I think it takes place in and amongst the art scene. So there's some quite arty things going on and stuff like that, but didn't get into this one very much. Next one is Fanatic. This was an interesting movie. This was pretty good. This stars Joe Spinell, who's like this nobody but dreams of being an actor, and he becomes obsessed with this actor played by Caroline Munro, and he sort of stalks her and terrorizes her, and it's all filmed in and amongst the Cannes Film Festival. So rather interesting location for a movie, and used rather well and used rather effectively. So yeah, Fanatic was a decent film. I enjoyed that one. Next up is Father's Day, and this is one of the Troma movies that really kind of ramps it up in terms of being rather extreme. So extremes in terms of the violence and gore, the sleaziness, the un-PC-ness of everything. And some of this movie I really liked. Some of it worked for me. Some of the humour and things like that didn't quite land. And when a film is this extreme and it doesn't land, that doesn't really work that much for me. But there were moments and elements in this film that I really enjoyed and thought were very good. But some of it is so extreme. It's just like, wow. So if you're into that kind of stuff, check out Father's Day. Next up is Mirror of Death. This is another one that I enjoyed. I think this is another one that's kind of played straight. This is a woman who escapes this abusive relationship, and she comes across this mirror where there's a demon inside, and it starts to take over her. It's pretty well done. I was surprised by how good this one was. Again, it's been a while since I've seen it, but I thought it was okay. Don't hear much about that one. Next one is a movie that I really enjoyed, and that is Monster in the Closet. And this is just pretty much a straight up B-movie monster film of this big sort of rubber monster going around and terrorising people, and the army get involved and try and stop him. Just a real fun film, not offensive or gory in any kind of way. I think it's real PG, but a really enjoyable movie. Kind of harks back to sort of 50s monster movies. So highly recommend Monster in the Closet. It's a very fun film. Next up is one of my favourite movies in general, and that is Night Beast. Like Monster in the Closet, this is just a straight up B-movie monster film. This one is a bit more gory and violent than Monster in the Closet, but I absolutely love this film. I'm a big fan of this director, Don Dola, specialised in these kind of low budget monster films. And what I love about Night Beast is within 2 minutes the Night Beast is running around killing people, pulling out the guts, shooting laser beams. It's crazy, but it's a delight to watch if you're into the type of movies that I am. So I highly recommend Night Beast. Vinegar Syndrome have since released it on Blu-ray, which they have done with quite a few Troma titles. So these are the Troma titles, I guess, that I have left on DVD and Blu-ray that aren't Vinegar Syndrome. Next movie is Parts of the Family. This is another one that I enjoyed. It's very low budget, very kind of amateurish makeup and things. It's a zombie film where these zombies and these creatures attack this house. Again, it's been a while since I've seen it, but I did enjoy watching it. The low budgetness didn't sort of put me off this one. I found enough enjoyment in it, and I was entertained enough to get through the film and have a good time. So that is one that I enjoyed. Next one is Pigs. This one was a strange movie. It has a very, very much like a low budget grindhouse feel to it. So if you like the old 70s grindhouse movies, definitely check out Pigs. It's not bad, it's okay. This is another one that Vinegar Syndrome's released now in one of their fancy Blu-rays, so that might be worth checking out if you're interested. I thought it was okay. I thought Pigs was okay. Next up is Poltergeist. This is kind of another one where they really go for it in terms of the craziness and the violence and gore, and it's just a really silly film. I enjoyed it. I think this is kind of one that is as close to Troma's 80s kind of humour and style as you can get, because this is one of the more modern ones. It's a few years old now, but I had a fun time watching this one. I'd actually like to go back and revisit this because I've only watched it the once, but I did have a good time with this one. But again, you just have to have that kind of disposition to be able to handle Troma's humour and kind of extreme weirdness. But yeah, Poltergeist was pretty good. Next up is Rabid Grannies. This one was a little bit too slow. I thought this would be much more of a lurid type movie than what it was. It's kind of just one long dinner party, which eventually descends into a bit of gory mayhem as these grannies turn into zombies or something like that, and a few people get killed. It's not too bad when it gets going, but it takes a long time to get there. So, yeah. Next up is Redneck Zombies. This one was okay. Again, you have to be prepared for some very low budget, amateurish stuff. So, really bad makeup, terrible acting, that kind of thing. If you're alright with that kind of stuff, you'll probably enjoy Redneck Zombies. It's not too bad, considering. Next up is another class of Nuke High. This is Return to Nuke High. So this is the one that they did several years later. This one's just a few years old. This one was okay. Pretty much the same sort of crazy Troma stuff going on. Again, it's one where they really try and go for it in terms of the weirdness and the un-PC-ness and things like that. I thought it was pretty good. Probably not as good as parts 2 and 3, but it was okay. Nice to see them return to Nuke High. Next one is Screenplay. This is one that I just couldn't get into. This is a bizarre film. It has kind of an indie feel to it. It's a black and white movie as well, and just took a long time to do anything. It was also very strange as well, so a difficult one for me to get into. I don't think I actually finished this, if I'm quite honest with you. It just didn't grab me, didn't draw me in at all, unfortunately. Next up is Surf Nazis Must Die. Now this one, I've had this one in the collection since forever. This is one of the very first Troma DVDs that I ever bought, so for 15 years ago or something like that. I remember it really wasn't what I expected. This is another one that's quite serious, and I remember from looking at the trailer and the title and the cover, I thought it would be quite a silly one, and have a lot of sort of Troma's type of humour in it, but there's very little jokes or anything like that. It's played straight, so I remember that caught me off guard. I do need to rewatch this one. I have a friend who is a huge fan of this movie. He's always singing its praises, so I think probably after lockdown we'll meet up and we'll probably rewatch this film, so it'd be nice to check it out again. Right, next up is Symphony in Blood Red. This is an unusual one. This is like a modern day Giallo type movie. It's actually got a recommendation from Dario Argento. It's okay. Yeah, wasn't quite sure what to make of this one. Stylistically, it's got a few things going on which are pretty good, and it's got some good ideas. Storyline, it's a little bit out there. I wasn't too sure what was going on sometimes. But it does have the gore and the violence, that's all there, so there's things here to like, but there's just a few things that I kind of struggled with in terms of trying to follow what was going on. But it's worth a look if you like sort of your Giallo and Italian type movies. Next one is Terra Firma. This one I really enjoy. This one is insane. So this is like they're making a movie in the movie. So they're making a Troma film in a Troma film with a, I think, transvestite killer going around killing people. really crazy movie, just one thing after another. It's just unbelievable. Yeah, just when you think they can't get any more crazy or insane or offensive or gory, they go and do something else. So if you are into crazy stuff and you haven't seen Terra Firma, definitely get on this one because you'll love it. It's insane. Next up is the Toxic Avenger, Troma's most famous film. This is their flagship movie, and it's not hard to see why. This for me is Troma's best film. It's the perfect mix of violence, gore, horror, a bit of superhero stuff thrown in there, comedy, slapstick stuff. It's all blended together perfectly, highly entertaining, just a fantastic B movie. I think if you're going to watch one Troma film, check out Toxic Avenger. The only problem for me is once you've seen the Toxic Avenger movies, you've kind of seen the best of Troma. After that, for me, nothing else is quite as good as these films, but they are so enjoyable. I highly recommend checking out Toxic Avenger. If you like any kind of B-movie type film, check that film out. Next one is Toxic Avenger Part 2. This is actually my personal favourite Troma film because it's the first Troma film I ever saw. I found this on a car boot sale. It was a big box VHS. I don't know if I've still got it or not, but it was this movie, and at the time when I was a kid, I couldn't quite understand it. It was it looked very cartoonish, but it had the red 18 certificate on, which meant like adults only, and I couldn't quite work out why this sort of wholesome looking cartoon was an 18. And then when I got it home and watched it and saw all the violence and gore and head crushing and that kind of stuff, I realised why. And I've always loved this movie. This one resonates with me a lot because, like I say, it was the first Toxic Avenger film I saw, first Troma film I ever saw, and it was the first film that kind of introduced me to that weird blend of Troma humour, if you will. So yeah, Toxic Avenger Part 2 is awesome. Then we have Toxic Avenger Part 3, pretty much the same kind of thing as Toxic Avenger Part 2. Same kind of film, same kind of feel. One that I've always enjoyed. Don't like it as much as number 2 because I think 2 has more of that nostalgia factor for reasons why I've just said. But Part 3 I thought was pretty good. I love the scene in the beginning in the video shop. That's awesome. And then we have Citizen Toxie, Toxic Avenger Part 4. Probably the most extreme out of the 4. This is another one of those movies where they really try and go for it with just the over-the-top craziness. I like this movie, but Toxic Avenger himself looks a bit different in this one, and I don't like the look as much as the other movies. I might be a bit picky on my part, but yeah, it's not bad. But 1, 2 and 3 are more enjoyable for me. And then I have Toxic Crusaders. So this was a children's TV show that someone thought would be a good idea to make after the success of Toxic Avenger. This kind of came out in that time where they made children's products from like adult films. So there's like Toxic Avenger, RoboCop, Terminator, Aliens. They all had like toy lines and things, even though the movies were not for kids. And this is another example of that, where it's a kid's cartoon based on the Toxic Avenger. And I enjoyed the cartoons. I thought they were really good. If you're into 80s and early 90s cartoons, definitely check them out if you can find them, because you'll probably really enjoy these. And the last one is Romeo and Juliet. So William Shakespeare meets Troma, if you can get your head around that. This one is pretty good. I had a good time watching it. Very weird. There's some strange stuff going on in this one. But I think that this one I watched a bit later on. So by this time I was pretty much immune to Troma and was used to all the weird stuff that they threw at me. And I had a good time with this one. It was okay. So that is my collection of Troma movies. Like I say, some of them nowadays I have on Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray because they tend to release quite a few Troma films on them. But these are the ones that I have. So let me know what you think of them. Let me know what your favourite Troma movie is. I'd love to know. And let me know if there's any Troma films that I should pick up, because I don't see them all that often now. So yeah, any more recommendations, let me know, and I'll see if I can find them. So thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for more videos.